Do you ever catch yourself suddenly sucked into an automated thinking loop without even choosing to enter it? One moment you are going about your day, and the next, you are in a heated debate with someone from 3 years ago, someone who has probably already forgotten you exist. But you are still there, replaying every word, rewriting your responses, winning arguments that ended long ago, regretting things you said or never said. Welcome to rumination, one of the most fascinating, most misunderstood, and most powerful patterns of the human mind. And before the world tries to hand you a diagnosis, let's pause for a moment. We live in a time that wants to pathologize everything that doesn't fit neatly into mainstream productivity and functionality. If your brain works differently, if you think more than average, if you cannot simply switch off, there is a label waiting for you, a therapy for you, a self-help program designed to make you more manageable and more normal. But thinking deeply is not a disease. It only becomes a problem if you fall into the trap of making it one. So, what is actually happening when you ruminate? Psychologists describe it as the mind's tendency to circle back repeatedly to the same thought loops, especially around uncertainty, unresolved situations, and the past. And here is where it gets genuinely interesting. Research from Yale and the University of Michigan shows that people who ruminate heavily are not doing so out of weakness. Their brains are exceptional pattern recognition machines, always scanning, always searching for meaning, always trying to resolve what feels unfinished. But here is the part nobody talks about enough. Rumination is not just a habit. For many people, it becomes a literal addiction. The brain releases dopamine during problem solving, even imagined problem solving. Every time you replay that argument, every time you run through that scenario, your brain receives a small chemical reward simply for the act of thinking. Not for finding answers, just for the process itself. The loop feels productive. It feels like you are getting somewhere. But neurologically, you are caught in a pleasure circuit that keeps feeding itself. Joe Dispenza, the neuroscientist and researcher, describes this brilliantly. He says that people become addicted to their old self, to the familiar emotions, the familiar thought patterns, the familiar version of their own story. The brain literally becomes chemically dependent on its own recurring thoughts. And like any addiction, simply deciding to stop is not enough. You have to treat it like one. Interrupt the pattern the moment you notice it. Physically move. Change your environment. Give your brain something new to process. New experiences, new inputs, new problems to explore. Because a brain that cannot stop thinking needs new territory, not emptiness. And this is where everything shifts. Because what makes rumination destructive is also exactly what makes it potentially extraordinary. The same loop that keeps you arguing with ghosts from the past is the same loop that keeps a scientist awake at night, unable to stop thinking about how to build something the world has never seen. The same pattern that exhausts you in relationships is the same pattern that produces breakthrough creative insight. Rumination is not the problem. The direction you aim it is everything. And let's ask the question nobody is asking. What does thinking too much actually mean? Because from a certain angle, maybe some people think too little. Maybe the real cognitive limitation is not having too many thoughts, but having too few. The inability to visualize complex scenarios. The inability to recognize patterns beneath the surface. The inability to hold multiple possibilities in mind simultaneously and weigh them against each other. These are not signs of mental health. They are signs of cognitive limitation. People who think deeply, who ruminate, who loop, who cannot let things go, are doing so because their minds have the capacity for it. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's center for analysis and self-reflection, stays highly active even during rest. Research published in Psychological Science found that deep thinkers score significantly higher on cognitive empathy, the ability to understand and anticipate how others think and feel. They are more sensitive to nuance, more attuned to the unspoken, more aware of complexity that others walk past entirely. The rumination loop can produce genius. It can produce art, philosophy, scientific discovery, emotional depth, and extraordinary human connection. It can also keep you stuck in conversations with people who forgot you years ago. The difference is not the thinking, it is what you choose to think about. Interrupt the old loops, not to become less, but to aim that extraordinary mind at something worthy of it. Give it new worlds to explore, new problems to obsess over, new ideas to never stop thinking about. Because a mind that cannot stop, pointed in the right direction, is one of the most powerful forces in human existence.